Okay.
Okay.
Welcome back. Oh my God.
What a crazy week.
Crazy week. Welcome back to Whips, Chains and Brains.
I was going to argue with you on that again.
Yeah.
I was like, no, you got it right.
I got it right. I mean, after a week of what's been
Repeating.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm Lauren.
I'm Tarryn. We realized last time we didn't actually realize. A few people messaged and was like, you guys didn't introduce yourselves. And we're like, oh.
Who's talking?
Yeah.
Like, who is who?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
We thought we should probably do that.
yeah, exactly.
Do you want to go first?
Well, I'm Lauren. Hi, nice to meet you.
And I'm obviously Tarryn. And Lauren and I have known each other since I was, 12?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you were 13?
Yep.
Yeah, really long time.
Yeah, such a long time. And yeah, I think that's why we feel so comfortable doing this together.
Yeah, we literally pretty much lived with each other through our teenage years.
Always.
And I think we both were really going through like a lot emotionally at that age. And we really found like comfort in each other.
It's like we kind of found our own little home within each other.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh,
So that's why.
And now we're doing it again.
Yeah, so that's why our relationship is so like deep and meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, makes my heart hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's us.
Yeah, I feel like that's enough.
Yeah. You guys like we can. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think we're going to give trigger warnings for every single episode.
Yeah.
Just because we're always talking about like sexual content or traumatic kind of things.
Yes.
The things that we want to normalize, which are triggering for some people.
Yes.
So we'll do it for everyone, but this is just another trigger warning.
A little forewarning. It's going to be very sexual.
Yes, and there will also be some trauma in here,
Yes,
sexual trauma as well,
sexual.
that we're just going to briefly touch on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that will be coming up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We also,
Otherwise-
we wanted to say thank you for this past week.
Yeah, I think especially it's hard to understand how it can feel when you're not in it. And even for me, I was still a part of it, but like watching you go through what you went through was so
Yeah.
amazing and hard, and there was a lot of emotion.
Oh yeah, I think I really dissociated or like depersonalized the first few days. I think I was quite apathetic in some of the interviews I was doing, and I did notice that I didn't touch deeply on my own mental health through that experience I went through with Jake, and it really was my mental health was on the floor. Like I was honestly suicidal in that time. But
When you were with Jake.
yeah, just through that experience. But I don't feel I really touched on those things when I was asked, mainly because I felt so numb when I was getting asked these questions.
Yeah.
It was really a lot. We genuinely didn't expect it to blow up like
oh
that.
my God. That's what I was about to say. Like, we did not prepare ourselves
No.
because we released the podcast, and then within a day
It blew up.
thousands of people had listened, and
Yeah.
so many people had contacted us,
Contacting
and
in the media.
it just
and
got way more
attention
than we thought it would.
But
a lot more.
We do
but
want.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We do want to go into like the mental health aspects of it in another episode. But I think we weren't really trying to touch on that too much with the last one. And then when it came to interviewing and stuff, I think I really was just not 100% like with myself.
Yeah.
When I was doing them. I wasn't really. I think like for me, it's been like an automatic response since I was a kid to kind of dissociate. And I
100%.
think it's only been in the last really like 2 years that I've learned to stop doing that through some of my other methods of treatment.
Yeah.
And so I think because it was such an overwhelming experience, it really just kind of threw me back into it.
Yep.
But also I've had so many people reach out and be like, tell me, that they couldn't have done it. And I genuinely think this was like a team effort. Like I could not have done this without having the support behind me. I would have just crumbled. Like,
Absolutely.
genuinely.
Like the amount of support that we received was again way more than we anticipated.
Yeah, and was like also helped to be able to actually
Yes.
go through and share that experience.
And it's so important, and I'm just like, this is the kind of community that I want to live in, and I'm so thankful that we are in it
and doing that. Yeah,
And-
it's amazing.
and helping to just keep normalizing talking about things like mental health and things like what we're going to talk about today,
Yeah.
which it's going to be interesting.
Oh, yeah. So the reason that obviously last week we had said we were going to discuss paraphilias.
Yeah.
And we will discuss it. But I think after kind of how overwhelming this past week has been,
Yeah.
We thought maybe we'll pass the spotlight on to Lauren this week.
Wahoo.
And we put up a post and asked kind of what you guys wanted to hear. And there was like 2/3 said a pigging story. So we're like, all right, gear up.
Like, here we go.
Yeah.
A nice little personal story from me. But also, like, we're not just going to talk about the pigging story. We're going to go into
kind of how that even developed.
how I got to that point. Not that there's nothing wrong with pigging.
Oh, yeah, go hard.
But it's just that we thought it was important to kind of shed light on everything else, like all the daddy issues that come along.
Yeah,
and,
totally. Which
yeah.
we put in that little question as well.
Yeah.
So I suppose we could just like roll right into it. So I think for this topic, because we were going to cover the daddy issues and stuff as well. We'll kind of start there with Lauren's like more being younger and working through her life, and then we're going to get to the pigging, and I can't wait.
Get ready for it. Get yourselves ready.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Sit down, grab a cup of coffee. Little inside joke there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So,
oh my god. I also want to. Sorry to cut you off.
So sorry. I know what I said it's about you, but it's not.
I just want to say, somebody donated us.
Oh my god.
For like bubbles and things.
Thank you so much.
We wanted to say thank you. That was just so nice.
Genuinely unbelievable. Like, again, the amount of support that we have received. Like, this person, like, the kindness of your heart. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So much. And we've had people, like, offer to help us with
like graphic design
and stuff. And we'll totally be taking you up on that. And
So
we will
cool.
also be plugging your business on the podcast. So
Totally.
thank you again.
All right, now.
Okay, now it's all about you, babe.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I
Okay,
guess...
Lauren, lie back. Tell me about your childhood.
Let me get my pen and paper ready and put my spectacles on.
I'm already wearing them.
Me too. I'm blind. Anyway, just nervous. This is also a vulnerable thing for me to share, but I'm also at peace with it, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Where to begin? My childhood.
Yeah, well, I guess because we're going to cover the daddy issues,
Right.
so I reckon we should kick off with the absent father.
Right. So I grew up in the States, and for the first maybe 10 years of my life, and then we moved to New Zealand. But before that, obviously, I was living in America, and I had no contact with my father. Mm-hmm. He was never around. I didn't even realize I had family on his side. Like, I kind of just never even questioned it when I was a kid. Like,
Yeah.
I had my granddad and my uncle, and I was like, that's enough. Like,
Did you not even notice? It didn't even feel different, or
I
just had nothing
not
really to
until
compare it?
later, like late primary school. I think that's probably when I started being like, okay, well, Father's Day, like, I don't have one, but we always just directed it towards my granddad and my uncle,
Right.
which is nice. So I didn't feel like a complete loser, but no, but no.
Yeah.
So he wasn't around, mainly because my mother decided he wasn't a good influence to have around.
Right.
He was a drug addict and an alcoholic. So probably not the best person to be raising a child with.
Yeah. Understandable.
Yeah. So we just didn't at all have any contact with him. And actually recently, shout out to his side of the family, Nana and my cousins and my auntie and uncle, like all such amazing people that I met in my 20s.
Yeah.
And discovered, and like they're just
And
the
loved,
best, and I love them so much. So
And rave about constantly.
I'm constantly thinking about them.
Yeah.
And so because it was such a major part of my life that was
Totally.
missing, and I also don't fit in very well with my family, but I fit in really well with them. So that's super nice. But yeah, growing up I did notice, but it was later on.
Right. Okay.
And then probably obviously teenage years.
Yeah. Do you think like as you started noticing, like, did you notice any kind of like behaviors to like fill that void, or was that not really until you got a bit older, like more
No,
through
I
high
was
school?
always a little shit of a child, I'll be
Right.
honest. Like, I used to throw tantrums, and even into high school, I was not a nice person, and I regret that a lot, but I just No, I don't regret it.
I don't
but
think you can regret it. It's just like life. It's just self-expression. I mean, if you've never been taught how to express these big feelings that you're feeling in a healthy way, then you just don't know any better.
Exactly.
And all you can do is learn from those experiences and move forward. I mean, I was there with you, and I also had a really I suppose, emotionally rough childhood.
Yeah.
And I think that took a long time for me to notice as well, because I had everything physically.
Yep.
And we both really acted out in high school.
We sure
and
did.
probably were not that nicer people.
No.
And it's hard to look back on and accept. But
Totally.
and I mean, no one's perfect, and everyone has these darker parts of themselves. I think through accepting that has also allowed us not to necessarily judge it when we see it in other people.
Yeah.
Because it's just their own form of self-expression, whatever they are lacking or the pain they're feeling.
Absolutely.
Makes you a better person, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Becoming more self-aware was the best thing that I ever could have done. It was
Totally.
very painful, but...
Oh, yeah. Confronting your problems is never easy.
Exactly.
But it definitely makes you a better person.
But now I'm so much happier for it.
Yeah.
And I am where I am because of all of that.
Exactly.
So I'm...
Well, it adds the flavour.
Yeah, I love that flavour.
Yeah. All right. So how do you think having an absent father in your teenage years kind of played out? Like, how did that make you feel? And was there kind of like father hunger there?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I was not aware of it the entire time. This is the
Exactly.
funny
Yeah.
thing. I look back and it's so obvious, but...
But you're just acting on the feelings, right?
Totally.
Exactly.
I felt I was constantly seeking validation, and I was constantly seeking it mainly from men.
Yeah.
And from girls at school that I was like jealous of. That's like, it was I just felt inadequate. And so I think I was constantly seeking validation through men to heal that inadequacy.
Yeah. And not knowing why, though, right?
That's the problem.
Exactly.
Because then every time I was in a relationship, it's not like I like really liked the person I was with. Well, I mean, I did. You have to to some extent.
Yeah.
But it was never like I could just never get it right.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was constantly seeking this validation that I was never receiving.
Right.
And it was like I was constantly going in patterns with my boyfriends.
And obviously, too, like when you're seeking for this father figure who is supposed to be emotionally nurturing and help you, guide you through your big feelings, but it's just another man who's a child, actually, because
Exactly.
we're all 13.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you don't get that. So
No.
when you don't know how to express your feelings and you're packing a tantrum like a 5-year-old because you've never learned.
No,
I
never
mean,
learned.
This boy doesn't know how to soothe that for you.
No.
Exactly. And the cycle continues.
And it continued past teenage years.
Oh, of course.
And,
It does, until you learn how to healthily express that.
yeah, so that
I mean, I've
was
seen some
interesting.
50-year-olds that don't know how to express their emotions
Straight
in a
up,
healthy way.
like so many
Because
actually.
it takes recognition of and responsibility for your feelings and thoughts and behavior, and so many people are not prepared to take
do that.
responsibility for
No,
that.
and because
It's painful.
It's painful.
Yeah.
But you've got to do it.
Exactly. All right. So seeking validation through relationships. Where did this lead you in terms of relationships? Like, obviously you cycled through relationships. Kind of, where was your breaking point or hitting rock bottom through getting shitty relationship to shitty relationship?
Yeah.
Before you kind of meet this man that's more representative of
Right.
your father.
Well, I honestly, actually, I'm pretty lucky because one of my more long-term relationships that I had after high school, he put up with a lot of shit from me, and I'm really thankful for that.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. It's such a great person,
Really
such
nice
a great
guy.
family,
Totally.
like awesome.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, again, I was just projecting my own shit onto that relationship.
Yeah.
And I was never getting what I really needed, which was actually to be happy within myself.
Exactly.
But from there, that's when things just
got
worse.
Yeah.
Because then I was kind of thrown... I'm like, I don't understand why I can't be happy with someone like this. Like, what's going on?
Totally. I think too, That's the thing, right? Like it's really normal to kind of seek these relationships that kind of play out these trauma patterns from childhood, things that make you feel inadequate because you want to give this negative story a happy ending. And people do it subconsciously. But oftentimes, I did this too. Get into a relationship with somebody that actually treats you quite well and quite nicely, and you still feel so unhappy, or if anything, you become the avoidant one rather than the codependent, because it's still this dynamic where you're not in a healthy place. And so instead, like, okay, you're constantly chasing these avoidant men, but then you end up with one that's not avoidant, and then you become the avoidant one, or you become the one that is causing the problem.
And it's this never-ending cycle, and it's also this cycle of like feeling like I was never properly seen and like really acknowledged within who I am as a person. But because like, you have to do that for yourself.
Exactly. I think too, like finding yourself in those relationships when you haven't found that within yourself, it's so
difficult. You constantly find things to pick on that the other person is doing,
because you're just not looking in the mirror and taking responsibility.
Exactly. And it's totally what happened. And then ended that relationship, went on like, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months later, went into another relationship. Same problems though. I was constantly picking at things that weren't really the problem. And I think the dynamic between me and this person in that relationship, it was constantly like a power struggle, because then I was thinking like, you know, you try and change a few things each time to see if you can make it work, but ultimately you're going to come back to the same problem. So
I
that's
think,
where it got interesting
as well. Like in terms of like the health, when you end up in a more healthier relationship, oftentimes when people have had traumatic childhoods, the healthy relationship can feel quite boring. Which is also where the picking and the causing trouble comes, because when you've lived in a chaotic place as a child, it's associated with love. And if you're unaware of that and not choosing, like making these choices from a conscious place of choosing, then you do what feels right, and oftentimes that's just what feels like love or feels like safety, or you're reenacting these traumas because you're looking for that happy ending to heal that wound.
And you're also looking for those highs and lows, like the really dramatic feelings of being like really super in love and then getting really annoyed with each other, and
seeking that validation too, like wanting to cause the trouble so that they chase you and tell you that they love you and that everything's okay, rather than self-soothing that and knowing within yourself that you're enough.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get on to moving through that relationship that was healthier. And also, you guys are still like great friends.
Oh my gosh, and they are the best people.
Like, so amazing.
Such great humans.
And then coming
and he's happy now. So that's great. They're great humans.
It's all forgiven.
I hope.
and then getting into this other negative one, and kind of what
it didn't really start off negative.
No, but kind of what that sort of turned into.
Yeah, I think it was again me not knowing what I needed for myself and expecting it from him, and him getting really annoyed
also
about
being
that.
In a bad place and not a self-aware place.
Exactly. And that causing issues, and then eventually that not ending super well. It did and it didn't. This is
a hard thing to talk about.
It's
we're not going to go into deep detail on this. We might at another time if Lauren feels comfortable, but we just want to give a brief touch on it because we think it's relevant to the story that's going to come.
Why I ended up with this older gentleman with the daddy issues. But so going through a traumatic experience with him and being sexually assaulted was not easy.
No.
But I also disassociated from it completely and actually just felt like it didn't even happen. And I then moved away to Chicago because we had been living overseas together. So I moved to Chicago, and it was honestly like, well, before I did that, I was in Amsterdam and I was doing truffles and things to try and kind of like figure myself out and think like, why does this keep happening to me? Like, why does this keep happening to me, as in the patterns of my relationships, and always feeling like this person isn't hitting it. Like, I just kept constantly feeling like I'm not getting what I need and wondering, why is that?
Yeah.
So then, I was...
what did the truffles do for you?
Well, I happened to do them with one of my really good friends. They came to Amsterdam to visit us, and we did truffles together. And I remember thinking afterwards, man, I am so grateful for so much in my life, and like even just the way sunsets looked and like really simple
Changes
things.
everything, eh?
And it just totally opened my mind. And I was like, and I mean, I'd done drugs before, but I hadn't really done psychedelics in more of a like therapeutic meaning, I suppose.
Yeah, psychedelics are truly, I mean, I have so much respect for them. Again, this is something that we will cover in an entirely different episode.
Yeah, because there's so much to get into.
But just to give really brief explanation, people kind of have like this default way of thinking. And when you're repeating patterns constantly in your life and you don't know why, psychedelics can help to look at things from a different perspective. It literally, they turn off what's called the default mode network in the brain. So as you grow older, you kind of strengthen these neural connections and you constantly make the same choices. And it's how that term comes where people are just stuck in their ways. Because when you're a child, you're making all these new neural connections, but as you get older, you kind of favor other ones. And then the ones that you don't use break.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to look at things from a different perspective or look at yourself from a different perspective and understand why. Because at the end of the day, everyone is responsible for themselves. Like, don't get me wrong, really awful things happen to people, but there is still this boundary setting which allows certain people to kind of end up in your life. And oftentimes when you're repeating these patterns, it's your own choices and you just aren't aware of it.
Yeah.
Doing psychedelics can break that default mode network and help you to look at things from a different perspective, which is just life-changing for so many people. There's so much research being done on it, and it's one of my favorite areas to study. And I will upload proper literature on it at some point. So that it's not just opinion based. But just to give some perspective on how that,
on why that might happen
and why that helped you. So
that, and I actually think at that time we were still together, and that could possibly have been the very beginning of when I started being like, and I think it was because it was maybe a couple months later that we ended up breaking up. So like totally changed. And then I remember thinking that and thinking maybe I'll try it again. And I went in and talked to the people at the smart shops, they're called. And this girl was saying that she does it and like does it by herself and just like likes to go like to the forest or the beach. And
it's definitely, I don't believe it's something that's really like a recreational thing.
I
They
agree.
can be overwhelming in that way. Really are a therapeutically controlled setting.
Totally.
Kind of vibe.
And this is the good thing about having the smart shops there is that there are people that
are knowledgeable.
And they know exactly what she's like. She knew what dose I would need and what I was wanting to get from it. And
rather than just being like, don't do this, people are still going to do it. It's better to give like proper advice and understand how to do it safely than just say don't do it. It's like telling teenagers not to have sex. They're still going to have sex, so isn't it better to tell them how to do it safely? That's
our opinion. So I did that a couple times. Nothing too crazy, like it wasn't like this like life-changing thing, but it's definitely, it's just like it opens up your mind a bit
enough to change your perspective slightly. You start questioning things, right?
Exactly. But at this stage, I was still really disassociating from the assault.
Hugely traumatic.
I just didn't even like think about it for months, and I knew afterwards that it was wrong, and but anyway, so I did the mushies, and then I ended up moving to Chicago and kind of forgetting about all of this. But in between this time of me doing that, I started seeing this older person. We met because we biked the same road together to work, and he worked at my work.
How much older are we talking here?
Oh, he was 16 years older.
Okay.
16 years older. And initially we met and we were friends the entire time I was living in Amsterdam because we biked to work together and we biked home together and it was fun. and it's nice, like, getting to know the locals and that kind of thing. So it was like another friend for me to have.
Do you think you found comfort in him because he was older and you were going through this really traumatic experience?
Yes. He was definitely one of the first people I wanted to tell about it.
Yeah. Just like a sense of safety? Or,
Yes. Yeah, majorly. But I know that I was seeking that parent figure.
Yeah.
To help soothe me.
Right.
Most likely.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, also, like, there is literature on people with absent fathers or really poor relationships with their fathers seeking or finding attraction in older men because it represents somebody for them. And a lot of people find that weird. They're like, ooh, like, you want to be with your dad? But that's not what it is.
No.
It's like, there's the subconscious attraction because you're trying to heal a wound.
Yeah.
It's people reenact their trauma all the time. It's so common when people are sexually assaulted. They're like, when you see children that have grown up and been sexually assaulted consistently, sometimes they become sex workers when they're older.
Yeah.
And people don't understand why. There is so much correlation with reenacting the trauma. Even when you've just had emotionally traumatic childhoods, it's really common to reenact the trauma. When you're older, people constantly repeat this pattern, trying to heal it in some way or give it a happy ending.
Yep.
So there is no surprise there at all that you found attraction and emotional safety in an older man.
And he was also my friend. Like, at this stage, we'd been friends for at least 8 months.
Right.
Like, we were biking together, talking to each other every single day.
Right.
Like, we really had a good friendship. We would go out, like, not just the two of us, like, we'd go out with, like, all of our workmates, and, like, he was someone that I totally trusted.
Right.
Yeah, so it's quite funny that, I mean, eventually we ended up kissing, and I was like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? I wasn't really sure. But
what did you feel with him? Like, was there intensity there, or?
I don't think it's intensity. Maybe it was comfortable, and this is the thing, like, I'm really glad that it was him who, like, I'm glad it was this person that helped me, because he was actually such a, like, kind and gentle person, and I think that's what I was really seeking.
Totally.
I don't know what
hard to describe.
It is hard to describe, especially because I maybe then would have thought it was passionate, but I definitely think it was just more, I was trying to heal a wound, especially now in comparison to my relationship, where I do feel like it's, like, the best and the most passionate relationship I've ever had.
But you're also so open and vulnerable now, and that's the difference as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And
okay.
so he was someone I could be vulnerable with, but it wasn't to the same extent.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So let's get into this story then. So how did the talk of pegging come up?
Okay.
Obviously you guys kind of, like, got into a relationship.
Yeah, well, but it was like a casual thing, but then I ended up moving there for a while and having to stay with him, which was hilarious. But before that...
what is his sexuality too, I would like to
He
cover.
is straight.
Right, exactly. Because we're going to touch on these things kind of throughout it as well. There is so much stigma around heterosexual men having any kind of, like, anal penetration.
Oh yeah.
And people, like, there are so many men that really feel, like, emasculated by it. And and a bumhole doesn't have a sexual orientation. Like, do you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous to me.
It's a butthole.
Yeah. And so there have been so many studies done too on usually the people that feel emasculated by it also have very they don't have very liberal social views. They don't believe in rape culture. They very much believe in
I don't know how you can't believe in it.
Yeah, they very much believe in like gender norms in relationships and things like this.
Yeah.
Whereas the men that are open to it, or at least don't feel emasculated by even the topic of it,
right,
usually are a lot more receptive emotionally to their like women in relationships. And this is all, like, this is in literature that I'm reading this. I'm not just making this up as my opinion.
This is truth.
Yeah. I with these episodes, like, we really want to go into, like, the scientifics behind everything.
Yeah.
And I do want to write papers on things. I haven't this week because of everything going on. So I might link a few.
Yeah.
Just so that people know that I'm not just, like, talking out my ass. But
100%.
Anyway, I just wanted to touch on that because, I'm sure many people would be like, straight. Like, do you know what I mean?
No, but he was totally straight. He had 2 children. He was married before this. No, great, like absolutely normal straight guy.
Right. So how did this topic come up?
So I think it came up because one of my favorite shows is Broad City.
Oh yeah.
And they often talk about pigging on that. And I like genuinely, like back then I was like, it is my feminist right to be able to peg a man in the ass.
Well, because also it's a power dynamic.
It's a power dynamic. And I felt like I had so much power taken away from me.
Exactly.
During the assault. So I think it kind of like accelerated my need to want to do this. Yeah.
To find someone that would allow you to do
absolutely.
this.
But I also feel that the Dutch people are really open to that kind of thing. And it's like one of the
museums, like for children.
The museums, they have like naked pictures of people everywhere. And it's like, sex is not something to be ashamed of there.
Well, it's literally innate.
Yeah.
Like, this is how we have populated the
and
earth.
This is how, like, this is why Amsterdam's so awesome. Like, they're just so open with things like that. And living there for a few years was the best thing I ever could have done for myself.
Because the crime rates and everything are lower there too.
So low. Yeah. It's they don't even have stray dogs.
Well, that's the thing is like when people are able to really integrate the what would be considered stigmatized or more shameful parts of themselves, it genuinely makes you a better person. You stop judging other people when you see it in them, because if you see what would be classed as a negative, quote marks, negative trait in somebody, you don't automatically look at them and judge at them. You think about the time where maybe you've behaved that way or feel that way, and it's just like, oh, maybe that person's just having a rough day.
Yeah, I do really try to do that. The only time I get caught out is when I'm driving the car and I get bad road rage.
That's rich, Lauren. Don't you think? Maybe there's something you need to integrate there. Lauren is the worst driver.
Watch out. Be careful on the roads.
Seriously. That's like genuinely, that's directly correlates.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm finding out so much.
Yeah.
We got off topic.
Yeah. Oh, so we're just talking about people being
How did
really
it come
integrated in Amsterdam and the lower crime rates and stuff.
Of course, like he being Dutch was like very open to talking about.
Okay, so had he done it before?
He hadn't done it before, and I actually can't remember if he had. I think he had like experimented a little bit with like a finger in the bum and that kind of thing.
Right, because I also read about usually the men that did enjoy it more already kind of played around themselves, with some kind of anal stimulation.
It's called like a pokey bum wank.
What? Isn't it? Sounds right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But he hadn't done that. But I mean, like with other women.
Right. Yeah. Because some people do. Some men do.
No, a pokey bum wank is a real thing.
Yeah, but also there are like prostate massages and things.
Yeah,
obviously,
which can be really great for men.
Yeah, some people really enjoy it.
Yeah,
which is totally understandable.
Yeah.
Some people don't. That's totally okay.
Also okay. Yeah. I mean, it's not for me, but I'm willing to give it a go.
Yeah.
But so he hadn't done it before. He had kind of experimented maybe a little bit with a finger or something. But I brought it up and he was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." But I think I actually brought it up when we were friends, and I remember being like, "Oh."
I've literally asked so many guys if they would let me do that.
Well, it's an important question to ask, because if they're willing to do it, they've got the right pathways in their brain.
They're probably a better person.
I mean, statistically speaking,
they're gonna treat you better in a relationship.
That guys, that's not real.
Well, actually, it is. So honestly, in the literature I have read, men that are open to this or don't feel emasculated by it treat their girlfriends.
That's why I said it.
Yeah, but you just said it's not a thing.
Well, and not every situation. Like, there's obviously going to be the odd person.
Statistically.
But statistically, yes. Okay. So I was in the States and I actually went back to visit him in Amsterdam, and we went to London to visit some friends and stuff as well. So I went to go and visit him and was like, oh, maybe we should do it then. And we did.
So because obviously you have to buy like a strap-on.
So he bought everything.
Oh, love.
Because he knew I was coming to visit. And he was like, okay, well, if you're coming to visit.
Tell me, how was the dildo shaped?
Okay, it was shaped like little...
Was it floppy?
No, it was hard.
Yeah, well, I know, but like, you know when
No, oh, well, like when it's hanging off of you with the strap on.
I want to put one on and just look at myself in the mirror.
It's honestly
my hands on my hips.
So interesting.
You feel so powerful.
So powerful.
Oh, yeah.
I honestly cannot describe to you the power I felt like standing with my hands on my hips. I straight up was like, I have a peanut. Like,
this is
it was awesome.
People are going to be like, whoa, Tarryn, do you have some gender problems? This is my childhood dream. It used to be on my dating profile. When I was a child, I used to stand and pee through toilet rolls because I just wanted to know what it felt like to have a penis.
I'm curious to do it now.
I'm very happy in my womanness, whatever.
Your feminism.
Yep, totally. But man, I would just love for a day. Sometimes I have a dream of having a big, girthy
That's what you
penis.
said the other day.
Yeah, and I said you and, can I say his name?
G Daddy.
You and G Daddy, you and Patty Daddy came over in my dream, and I was like, hey guys, check out my giant penis. And it was like so thick and so veiny, and I was so impressed.
I love that you were not only showing me, but also my boyfriend, and being like, hey G Daddy, like, take a look at this huge honker. Like,
I felt so powerful, and I woke up feeling so powerful.
Yeah.
I would love it. Just for a day.
Just for a day.
Or maybe a couple days.
I was actually going to say probably more like a few. Not a week, though. That's too long.
I could probably do a week.
Wow, you're brave. Anyway, wow. Yes, so he bought everything. He got it ordered online, got it sent to his house.
Oh, wait, we completely skipped what
did it shape like?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's shaped like a bulbous, like a little bulbous on the end, if you know what I mean by bulbous.
Like a circle?
Like, kind of, yeah. Like...
On the end was a circle?
Well, but it was like anal beads, but the beads kind of got bigger, and instead of them being beads...
Bigger at the base.
Yes.
Right.
And instead of them being beads, it like went in gradually. Like it wasn't like it was just a whole circle.
Smooth, like...
Smooth,
rounded. Like wavy.
Wavy. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And
did it like vibrate or anything?
It went up. No, it was just a plain old...
Right.
And you could also use it as like a butt plug.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How big are we talking?
Not very big.
Oh, well, I mean, first time, of course.
Yeah.
Just bring out this honker of a dildo. Hope you're ready, baby.
Hope you're ready, babe. Hope you've been saving up. I don't know what to compare it to. Like, it would be... it was just like a dildo. Right. I don't know how to describe it. Not huge. Oh, probably like... Not even the length of my hand.
Palm to fingertip?
Yeah, palm to fingertip.
Nice.
Yeah. But they're not very wide.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that was what it looked like. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We used that. And I think the position we did it in... I mean, do we want to go into this much detail?
Oh, yeah, we want to go into this much detail.
Okay.
Okay, first, before we even get to position,
yeah.
you put it on, you felt powerful.
I felt powerful.
How did it feel to like, did you just walk into the room wearing it? Was he just already hands and knees waiting for you?
Yeah. Okay, no.
Do you know what I mean?
He's like looking back like, hey babe.
I'm ready.
No.
Because I feel like, I mean, usually when you're about to have sex, there is like kissing and foreplay.
Okay, yeah, right. Okay. Like, I didn't just get straight into it. Like, I didn't walk into the room with it on and be like, bend over. Like, like I'm not a monster. I was like we'd been drinking because I had to. My inhibitions had to be lowered.
I feel like he probably needed that too.
For sure.
Right.
We'd had a bit to drink and had a nice day and evening, and then it was like, should we tonight? Mm-hmm. So then we both kind of knew it was going to happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were obviously like a bit of foreplay, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. The usual.
Let me just slip out and put something sexy on.
I think it was actually him who was like, do you still want to do it? Mm-hmm. Like, he was really receptive and for it. Like,
I love that.
And before I got there, he had been researching and like looking up articles of men that had tried it and really liked it. And he was like, so he was feeling really comfortable.
Men can find so much pleasure through it.
Totally.
There is the prostate there. What's it called? Like the G-spot or whatever.
Yeah.
And then oftentimes too, like there is like penile stimulation at the same time.
Oh, yeah. I was like bending over and like,
wait,
like touching him.
You don't need to dumb it down. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know how to express this. Like,
go hard.
Yeah, no shame from us.
Oh, no.
yeah, so we were doing that, and then I think, he was like, okay, are you, like, do you still want to do it? And I was like, yeah, sure. So then he, like, grabbed it out from underneath the bed and, like, gave it to me, and I was like, oh, shit, like, put it on, and, like, we had, like, a little giggle, and then we kind of started, like, getting more intimate again. And there was also this huge mirror beside his bed, which I think is a really important detail.
Yeah.
He is like a 6'6" man.
You're like...
And I am 5'2". I am 5'2", like...
Petite woman.
Petite, but like... I'm still thick with 2 C's, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've got something. I've not got nothing. Anyway, I'm just really painting a picture for you. So... Then he was like, okay, yep, let's do it. And I was like, okay, like, how do you want to do it? I think you actually are supposed to lay on your back and lift your legs up. And that's the most comfortable. But I just couldn't face looking at him like that. So he bent over on all fours. So that's how it happened.
Right, okay. Did you obviously, like, lube up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And we went in, like, one little
bit at a
time. And, like, we're constantly...
Didn't just ram it on in there.
No. You couldn't. Like, genuinely, there's no way that you could, like, do that. Right. Unless you were a total psychopath.
A vicious human being.
Like, because there is a lot of resistance.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. I've used a prostate massager on someone before.
So, it's... Yeah.
A lot of resistance.
Good times.
A lot of tensing.
Yeah.
I'm like, just relax. And they're like, man, honestly, this is all me too. Like, I'm just like really like wanting to do this. This is like when I was saying I've asked so many people if they would let me pick them. I would say about 50% have said yes.
Yeah. I honestly think in today's day and age, it's not as stigmatized as it used to be. Like,
I just want to have the experience.
I hope for you that you get to have it.
I just want to know how it feels.
It is so interesting.
I reckon I would just feel so powerful.
It's like everything that you've always wanted to know what it felt like. You feel it. Like, because I've always been like, what are they feeling right now? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they must feel like the man getting to like smash this.
Obviously, you don't know how it feels to have a penis, though.
No, but and that's the shitty part. But you do, like, you get a glimpse of what it could be like.
Because I've always wanted to know how it feels just to like to masturbate with a penis.
Same. Oh, any kind. Like, I'm very curious.
Any kind.
Any, like, sex, titty fuck.
Right. I don't
wanking.
I mean, I know that
hand job, blow job. I'd love to know. I'd love to know what the gluck gluck is like.
The what?
Tarryn.
The what?
Oh my god, we'll have to talk about this. The gluck gluck, and
what is that?
It's a type of blow job that you can do.
Can you tell me?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, so you use... I mean, I think it's the two-handed, like, turning method.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And just the, like, more aggressive you go with the spit and everything, the higher...
They're just normal?
I know, but not everyone uses two... Like, so you use two hands...
Well, I mean, you can't use two hands depending on what you're working with.
So this is what you kind of have to use a few, like, fingers of both hands, because I think that the men like to feel that there's two hands on their dick. Like, it really, like...
Oh, it makes them feel... yeah, okay, I got it.
Yeah, so you're not necessarily... You don't have to use, like, the entire hand. Yeah. You can just use a few fingers from each hand.
But makes them feel like they're really packing. Right, I got it. Okay, so you're just essentially stroking their ego.
Yeah, and if you want to hear more about that technique, you can go to the Call Her Daddy podcast. I think it's like their 3rd episode. They go into the gluck gluck.
Oh,
pro tip for you.
Nice.
You'll never regret it. Trust me.
Good to know. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, where were we?
But I watched myself in the mirror compared to this man, and it was just
something else.
Yeah, we enjoyed it, but I don't feel the need to do it again.
Sure. How did he feel about it?
He didn't not like it, but I think he was expecting more because of all of the articles he had read.
Right.
And he was like, it was good, but like I don't need to do it again as well.
Right.
You know?
Just an experience.
Yeah, it was just something different to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's really healthy and normal.
Did he finish?
Oh, well, so I finished because of the, like, what's that word?
Is it like vibrate?
No, but it was just hitting the right spot. Right. I was able to buy orgasm so easy, but
right.
So I was able to orgasm, and then I think once I had finished, he was kind of like, okay, like enough of this, and
stopped.
We stopped doing that, and then he just had sex with me normally.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So not really meeting up to what he was like,
No,
hoping for.
no.
But you know what? Good on him for even giving that a crack.
Totally. And that's something that I'm really proud of. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I think it just shouldn't be this, like, stigmatized thing.
Yeah, sexuality is so stigmatized in society in every way. Like, it's not even just men that feel like this is robbing them of their masculinity. There are also so many women that are like, have an opinion about it, or wouldn't want to be with a man if they were open to doing it. And I just think that's so ridiculous.
I don't understand that, because if you really like love and respect someone, especially, or I mean if it's a random person, whatever, but it shouldn't matter what they want to do in the bedroom.
Yeah, no, not at all.
You know what I mean? Like, relationships are fluid, sexuality is fluid.
Yeah, there's such this like attitude I feel with like you're either 100% gay or you're 100% straight, and there is like
so not it.
There is such a spectrum, and it's so fluid, and some people are kind of bang in the middle, some people are really far one way or the other, but it's very rare that someone is 100% straight or 100% gay.
Yeah.
And I think too, like, even beyond sexuality, like, experiences like this does not define sexuality in any way. There is also literature on like men and women that will have sexual experiences with the same sex but still identify as heterosexual.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes your sexuality is based on who you want to wake up to in the morning, and who you want to grow old with, and you know, who you want to build a home with.
100%.
Rather than who you just want to have sex with.
Yeah.
So there is and I think, there is such a stigma around it. I think too, like, it wasn't that long ago that like even any kind of queerness was like so not accepted. So I think it's still, there's still so much stigma around the expression of someone's sexuality, and then people just trying to label it as something else that it's not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think there's so much to learn as well sexually by just being open
and expressive.
And you can learn a lot about yourself. Like,
totally. And if something's feeling really uncomfortable or triggering to you, like if you feel feel really strongly one way about something, why? What is not sitting comfortably within yourself that you feel so strongly about it? Because you don't have to partake in it.
No.
But if someone else's sexuality or sexual experience makes you feel really strongly one way, why is that?
Exactly.
Like, sit with that feeling within yourself, and instead of projecting it onto the people that are making you feel that way, think, why am I feeling this way? What is this bringing up for me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is like, through doing something like this, I felt really safe with this person.
Exactly.
And he helped me to heal. Thankfully, this has a really happy ending, and we're friends still, and he helped me to heal this kind of wound that I didn't have the tools to before that relationship.
Do you think you're referring to like the trauma you experienced as an adult, or the absent father, or kind of both?
Both. I think it's both.
Like through that power dynamic with the trauma, perhaps?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, through that power dynamic and being able to do this with this person.
But someone that you trust.
Someone that I trust, because I felt like I really couldn't trust anyone again after the trauma.
Yeah.
And he also was, again, this parent figure that was teaching me how to self-soothe and feel okay with the decisions I was making, to the smallest thing where I would be in the supermarket. I've already said this to you, but where I would be in the supermarket and I would be getting flustered over like what I wanted to get. And he would like really simply like just hug me and be like, it's okay. Like, and then would just and
like
be like,
down-regulate
like,
that
don't worry.
system,
Like, it doesn't, but I found myself apologizing for feeling that way because of the relationships I'd been in before him.
Yeah.
And through this relationship, I learned a lot about self-love, and that has led me to now be in the best relationship that I've ever been in. Not only with myself, but also with G Daddy.
Yeah. And like, I think too, because when you get to this point of like self-reflection and self-awareness and kind of sitting with and taking responsibility for like your emotional triggers and why you feel a certain way, and learning to self-soothe, but it also puts you on a whole other level for who you attract into your life.
Exactly.
So now you're at this point where you can take responsibility for your own feelings and your own triggers, while also meeting somebody at the table that also takes responsibility for his emotions and his triggers.
Yes.
And if you guys feel a certain way, you can openly communicate about that and not project it onto each other, but take responsibility for it and just say, hey, I'm feeling this way, but this is what I need from you to make me feel safe in this position right now.
Exactly. I've never had that before.
Yeah.
And it's the best thing. Like, I think in the beginning I was really worried that I was going to miss the chaos that I'd grown up with in my childhood, and I was going to think that this felt really boring. But it doesn't. Like, it's so fulfilling and so much better to be with someone that you can grow with.
Yeah.
Instead of constantly going in this vicious cycle of like trying to find that validation.
Well, because
through
it's
someone
not
else.
ego versus ego. It's not you versus him. It's like you guys are doing things together and growing together and taking responsibility for your feelings together and your life together.
Yeah.
It's just a whole different thing.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really... So I'm really thankful that I was able to have this experience.
Yeah. So you're not going to have it again?
Well, we've talked about it. He actually bit me, my current partner, G Daddy.
Because you were, I mean, obviously when he first was coming over, we were just like giving him shit about it.
Constantly.
Yeah.
This poor man. But we had a bet that if I beat him at time zone at the beer pong game, that I would get to do it. And this is how cocky and confident he was. He lost. And he was like, oh shit. And he's like, no, I'll get a beer pong cup tattoo instead. And I was like, but I'm like genuinely like, I'm not sure that I can, like, I don't know that I want to do that with him.
Yeah.
Because I have so much respect for him, and
Well,
I don't think that I don't want to, I'm not going to push him into anything.
it's not a respect thing though. Like, it's not like you're going to only do it with someone that you disrespect.
no,
because
yeah.
you respected the man that you were with.
Yeah,
it's
true.
Just, I think he's not really that open to it, whereas your last partner was.
Yeah. And it's like, I also am not sure that I want to
Have the experience again.
look at him in that way.
Right. Did it make you look at the older man in a different way?
Momentarily?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Because
do you think?
when you look in that mirror and you see this tiny girl doing this to that huge man, it's like, obviously it changes something in you.
That's really interesting to me, because obviously some people like partake in this all the time.
I know, but
they're all for it.
I actually think if I did it more, I think then it would be fine.
Well, I mean, other research I've been doing on paraphilias and things, which this is not a paraphilia, but it's really, you can condition not sexuality, but you can condition sexual scripts. Like if you reach orgasm at the same thing, you will learn, it reinforces the behavior.
Yeah.
So then you start to like it, even if you didn't prior to this. So yeah, if you kept doing it, reaching orgasm, you probably would start to crave it.
I think that you're right that it is more that the older man was open and receptive to it, and not that G Daddy's not. Like, he's like, I mean, if you really wanted to, but I'm like, nah, like I don't
really want to.
I don't really want to.
Yeah.
So like I don't.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
Interesting.
That's the thing. Like, every time I ask someone if they would let me do it, I don't even like. I feel like I want to have the experience, but there is nothing driving me to be like, yeah, I really want to do this.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally just every time I ask someone, I just want to know if they would let me do it.
I think that it's something that people should start asking people more.
Yeah. Which is funny because, like, I don't even have a boyfriend and I haven't even dated anyone. But every time, like, I'm, like, kind of talking to someone, I just bring it up.
I honestly feel like it gives you such an indication as to what that person's like.
Yeah, I'm like, do I want to carry on talking to you? Would you let me do this? Yes. All right. Okay. We
then
can
fine.
carry on talking. But then, like, one day later, I'm like, actually, I don't want to talk to you anymore. So,
Yeah. Oh, bless them.
Yeah.
That's
no offense to the people. I'm just clearly gone through some shit.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot going on.
I think, too, for me, it probably is a power dynamic.
Oh, yeah. Totally. I think especially after everything that's happened.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels good, especially after the sexual assault. It felt good to, like, feel some sort of sexual power again. Mm-hmm. Because I felt like it was taken away from me.
So many women do, kind of play out their power and their sexuality, especially women that have felt really, like, this is why it's really, this, like, promiscuity, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Is really common, especially in teenage years. Like, when girls feel so, they're at their most vulnerable or kind of inadequate, and they're kind of going through this awkward phase, or if they've come from these more emotionally neglective childhoods, you see this promiscuity, and they kind of hold their power in it. I used to do it.
Yeah.
I used to seek validation through sex.
Yeah.
It was really the only place in my life that I felt like I had any power or felt good about myself.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to really sit with that and recognize that.
Yeah, me too. Totally. I 100% understand that.
Yeah,
Like,
and I mean, men do it too. Like,
yeah.
If you see men that are very promiscuous, it's commonly they have low self-worth or low self-esteem.
Yeah.
And that they're just constantly seeking that validation through that sexual experience. It's
Definitely.
like if someone loves me in my most raw form, then I must be good enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I find human sexuality so fascinating.
So fascinating.
It's really the road I want to take with my psychological studies.
And we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, it's such a neglected area of literature because it's so stigmatized. It's been so stigmatized for such a long time, and there's such a lack of literature, including the forensic sides, like paraphilias and things like this. There is such a lack of literature because it is such a stigmatized area of just like humanity in general. And so it didn't even used to get studied. And it's only...
How insane.
I know. And it's only... And then now we've got this complete kind of like gaping hole in understanding why people, even like you look at paraphilias and these people that commit these like serial murders and things through this sexual urge.
Yes.
And there's such a, like, we're only just beginning to understand these things because we've neglected this part of science.
Yeah.
So it's so fascinating.
Very interesting.
So fascinating. Yeah. I love it. And I feel like too, that's why we want to talk about these things because we don't want a stigma around these things. It's a normal part of
the human experience.
Exactly. Like it's innate.
Everyone does it.
Yeah. And yet we can't talk about it. That was one thing. The only people that were really lashing out to me last week were like, oh, well, you shouldn't have been doing that anyway.
Right.
And I'm like, sorry that I expressed my sexuality in a private way with my boyfriend and you don't approve of it. Like,
it's like, that's not my problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's why we want to talk about these things openly because they deserve to be talked about and they shouldn't be an uncomfortable thing to talk about.
No.
And I think too, if it causes you discomfort, you should really ask yourself why. Because the only time that
and not just in sexuality, everything.
No, everything, but especially this as well.
Yeah.
If you feel some kind of large emotion, in particular a negative one, or quote unquote negative emotion,
right?
Why is that? Why is it not sitting right with you? Like, there is a reason, and it only ever comes from within yourself. We can only ever project our own experience.
Totally.
So that is always something to sit with and just kind of integrate that part of your shadow within yourself. Because you don't have to do it, but there shouldn't be judgment on anyone that decides to or talks about it.
No, and it's a really good place to start on your like self-discovery journey.
Totally.
So...
yeah, great chat.
Another great reason why we chose this story.
Yeah. So next week, probably talk about paraphilias.
Yeah.
And maybe some like Ted Bundy or something.
Oh my God,
a serial killer. Because often, I can't say for sure. I haven't looked into it, but I'm pretty sure like 100% of serial killers, there is a sexual motivation behind it.
Yeah, it's not 100%, but it's a lot.
It would be high.
It's really high because some of them are just acting out of like it's
pure
not always
rage,
sexual, but a lot of the time it is.
Because that's where the compulsion comes from.
Yeah.
And I think too, even in the ones that I've looked into with rage, like there is usually a sexual element to it.
Yeah.
It might not be what was that dude that would have sex? He would decapitate the body. No, the head.
Oh yeah.
He would decapitate the head and then have sex in the neck.
With that was Ed Kemper.
Massive dude. Yeah.
Yeah, Ed Kemper.
So crazy. All because he hated his mum.
Yeah, and he wanted to shut her up, and that's why he chose her throat to fuck.
It's just, it sounds disgusting when I say I love it, but I love it.
Yeah, but it's interesting.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So fascinating.
So we'll probably get into a bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Rubbing my hands together. All right, team, good work.
Follow us on our social media, Instagram, Whips, Chains, Brains.
That's our only social media.
Yeah. we're pretty useless at this stage. But we want you to follow on it because I think we want to do more like polls and like ask you guys what you want to hear, that kind of thing. So follow us on there and
let us know
and send us
if you've got any
feedback.
feedback.
Yeah.
We love to hear it.
We do.
Man, yeah, last week we got lots of feedback and it was super helpful. It helped us start this intro.
Yeah. Yeah. Which might not have sounded like it, but we're going to get better.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
Well, thanks for stopping by.
What she said last time? Peace out.
Respect.
That's it.